Thank you very much to all the delegates who have provided the comments, very constructive dialogue, which make us feel that we really are on the right track. And we're going to be working more effectively together. This is a great message to take away from this joint conference, both the Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction and the first ever conference on world reconstruction and recovery and reconstruction. It makes us feel energized to work harder, to deliver. When you hear André representing children and saying to us that we need to act now, I don't think we have any more time to delay finding the way to work together on this framework. And that's the reason why I am relieved and I say we have good news. We're not starting from scratch. We have, as I said before, a body of knowledge that we have accumulated over, unfortunately, the many intense and frequent disasters that have happened over the last few years. GFDRR, the global facility, has also established a solid track record on knowledge. They have an amazing network of practitioners and foreign expertise. They're working with the private sector, with IBM, Google, NASA, and many others that I can't cite all here, to work on this open access database. This is crucial. You all have talked about metrics, about being able to provide indicators that can better assess risk, but also measure progress and measure our efforts at working better together. And so that's a good point to start from. We have also a solid network of practitioners that is provided by our bilateral partners. Switzerland is known for its solid network of foreign expertise that they have made available to the global facility. So is Italy, that has made available its extensive experience on civil protection. The United States, Australia, Sweden, many, many more that I cannot cite here. So this is just to give you, to reassure you that we are on the right track. We have UNSDR, who has shown to you today the expertise and the global outreach that they have and how they could help support us in developing this framework. We have all the stakeholders here, as you can see them. Parliamentarians, local authorities, NGOs, women's groups, youth, academia. We can't ask for better support than the representative of these groups. So there is no room, as I said, for complacency. We can't wait. We have to act for a safer future, for a more sustainable development, for a world without poverty, hopefully. And hopefully, we know that disasters are not predictable. So, but at least with a better prevention strategy and better preparedness for those disasters when they do happen. So thank you so much all, and as Margareta said, we will take your comments and move forward. Thank you, Margareta.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, I hope we will make it a tradition for many platforms to come, that we always invite a speaker that was not really on the speakers list, someone who will present hopefully some new perspectives. And this time we've invited Saber Chowdhury, who is the MP from Bangladesh, to share with you some of his over-the-horizon perspectives. Saber, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't think it comes up. And may I compliment you for the outstanding stewardship of this third global platform. I think we all take back a lot of positives from this event. And I think I speak for all of us when I say that it has been an extraordinary 4 days. And what makes it extraordinary is the extent of the interaction, the sharing, the learning. And when we from Bangladesh say that we have learned, I think that's saying something, because we have always regarded ourselves to be a role model when it comes to adaptation, disaster risk management. And so we have also learned a lot. But looking forward and reflecting on the past few days, there are just some thoughts that I would like to share with you. First, I think what separates this event from other events is the extent, the scope, and diversity of the people taking part. Not just the numbers, 2,500 participants, but everyone from a head of state to an NGO, to women and children working at the grassroots level, parliamentarians, scientists. And I think this coming together has two important messages. First is that it demonstrates that disaster risk reduction is really everybody's business. I think that's an important point for everyone to take home. And the other is the networking that we have had here presents very remarkable and exciting opportunities for the future, because there is vast potential in this network. So let's take this forward. The challenge is not really so much what we do, because over the last few days we have seen that there are so many best practices, but rather the challenge lies in upscaling and institutionalizing what we are already doing. I think that's a very important point. So it's not rediscovering the wheel or reinventing the wheel. It is really taking forward initiatives that we have already started. And of course, in this regard, the international commitments have to come good. The local pledges, the national commitments will also have to come good, and that is, of course, very important. I was struck by what the UN Secretary General said in the opening session. One of his remarks was, it's not the amount of money, it is how wise our investment is. So prudent investment, judicious use of funding, I think is something very important. We always look for money, but are we making the best use of the funds that are already available to us? I think that is a message that we all take home. We also have to remember that everything that we do here in terms of programs, in terms of initiatives, are not ends in themselves. The end is the well-being of the people that we are trying to work for. And we at each stage have to respect their dignity, their humanity, and treat them with the same respect that we ourselves would like to be treated with. I think this is something which is very essential in the whole discourse. This should really be a personal issue for all of us. We have our individual capacities, we have our professional capacities. So how we can contribute to that process as individuals also becomes very important. There are a whole array of international protocols and instruments that are supporting us. You have the UNFCCC, you have the Rio +20, and the just concluded LDC conference in Istanbul, which I'm very happy to note also acknowledges disaster risk reduction as one of the key areas. So what we really have to do, and I call this a building of the coalition of individuals, institutions, local actors, everyone coming together. So a culture and coalition of prevention that we can build right through the system also becomes very, very important for us. Looking over the horizon, we know that natural disasters have cascading effects. In fact, I think it's very interesting that when we talk about Japan, we talk about cascading effects. Think for a moment of what would have happened, what would have been the extent and magnitude of the disaster if Japan had not been prepared as they had been. Japan is one of the countries that we refer to as best practices, and they're meticulous in their planning, they're meticulous in the prevention, and yet this thing has happened. So I think Japan is an interesting example, not just in terms of the cascading effects, but also for disaster risk reduction. The risk they had reduced significantly. An important point which probably has not come up as much as I would have liked to is the dynamics and interrelationship between disaster risk reduction, climate change adaptation, and mitigation. I know I've talked about mitigation also in the session yesterday, but ultimately, disaster risk reduction is also about mitigation. And we have to solve the problem faster and quicker than we are creating it. So let us not see disaster risk reduction only in terms of climate change adaptation. I think it also has to be seen in terms of mitigation, and we have to make the connections, which is very important. If we don't do that, as I said yesterday in one of the sessions, we'll be treating the symptoms and not the causes, and we will fall dangerously short. I would like to leave you with two final thoughts from Bangladesh. We all know that it is usually very easy to be wise after the event. if we had been more respectful of what we were doing, our lifestyles, then climate change would not have been an issue that it is today. Let us learn and invest wisely today so that we can leave a better future. In fact, we had a very powerful presentation from a young man today, earlier in this session. So we are really investing for their future, and let us learn from past mistakes. The second thought is, when a house is on fire, it doesn't matter who has got the master suite and who is sleeping on the couch. Eventually, that fire is going to consume the whole house. So we are all in this together, and we have to solve our problems together. And indeed, we will. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Saber, for that contribution. So we are ending by trying to evoke really the urgency that brought us here. And I would like to invite a final contribution here, which is a special one. And I have here on the stage with me Mr. Thomas Loster from the Munich Re Foundation and Mr. Walter Ammann, who is from the Global Risk Forum. And I'd like to introduce to you an initiative which is the launch of a risk award that is a joint effort between Munich Re Global Risk Forum and the UNISDR. And it will offer a significant award for a risk reduction project that contributes to increase people's resilience to disasters. I hear that André is back. Has he joined us? He's coming here. Please come and join us, André. As many of you participated, in fact, a large number of you participated in the Sasakawa Award ceremony yesterday. And you can see that there is an enormous amount of initiatives that merit being drawn to public attention and shared. And I believe the initiative by Munich Re and the GRF here is a very special one that will contribute further to making innovation and creativity, which is otherwise not so visible, much more available. The award will be first time awarded next year in 2012, and it will give some focus on urban areas through, in fact, early warning systems. So let me invite Thomas Loster from the Munich Re Foundation, who, of course, contributes most to this award, to introduce the details and why this award has been established. Thomas, you have the floor.
Thank
please.
you. Thank you, Madam Chair, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Throughout this important conference, we discussed about the importance of reducing risk, and we also debated how important it is to address people at grassroots level and at community level. Projects bottom-up are extremely valuable because they include people at risk with all their traditions, knowledge and capacity. And I'm very proud that ISDR, represented by Margareta Wallström, together with the Global Risk Forum Davos, represented by Walter Ammann, and the Munich Re Foundation, represented by me today, and at this very important conference announced a new award for disaster risk reduction, the Risk Award. To emphasize the importance of the UNISDR campaign, Making Cities Resilient, My City is Getting Ready, the first Risk Award is dedicated to a project in the field Early Warning in Urban Areas. The award winner will receive a funding up to 100,000 euro in order to implement his proposed project. Project proposals may be new, under development, or upgrades of existing warning systems or services. They may adapt existing concepts. The prize, as Margareta said, will be awarded every 2 years, announced here at this important global platform for disaster risk reduction and handed over at the International Disaster and Risk Conference, IDRC in Davos, starting with the first award ceremony on 26 August next year in Davos. We are convinced that with this new prize, and coming back to the speaker before me, will be a wise investment, and we hope that we can foster best practice, support people in hazard areas, improve disaster risk reduction. We invest today, so please you apply for the Risk Award to make the world safer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Thomas, and to Walter. Obviously, this is a piece of good news to leave this conference with, and we will put up all the instructions on the various websites, so you can look at how to do it and when to do it and what is required. So, Thomas, we really appreciate the contribution by Munich Re for this, what we hope will be a very important award, and that it will remain for a very long time with us. With that, I'm afraid we've come to the very final words here before we let you out of this room. I'd like to personally thank you. Of course, we had wanted the Deputy Secretary General to be here with us today, but we will make sure she gets a full report on all your contributions and the spirit of this closing session. I believe this platform has been really a turning point. I think the level of consensus, the very broad diversity of expertise of people who have come here, and it's if I have to look for one very simple and single message, is that we are really ready for the next leap now. We know what to do. Now the challenge is very clear. I believe, although we have not phrased it as an action plan, that with your contributions this morning, we do have an action plan ahead of us that will take us to 2013 and through the work on a new framework to 2015, and there will be a framework that will then guide us for, I hope, at least the next 10 years. I trust that you agree with this simple conclusion of the meeting. I thank you for all the work during this week, and we always welcome your ideas and contribution how to make this a more effective system, because you're all part of the same system and the same family and the same movement, as I've heard we call ourselves during this week. And a special thanks to Subida and her World Bank and GFDRR team for having the courage to join this very large venue with very diverse parties. I'm sure we will see you here next time again. Thank you, Subida. Thank you. Thank you all very much. So with that, I'd like to close the session formally and wish you all a good Friday afternoon. I know we're going to still see many of you in working sessions, so I suspect you would like to have a slight lunch break. And if you want to see the video, it's going on now. Thank you very much.
I think the platform is really something that really brings all different sectors for working for this the disaster risk reduction. So really, as long as we can understand how the people collaborate in the different fields and how to unite, it's good.
Bringing people together to work for the safer communities. Because to me, one person, one country or one region can't do to prevent disasters.
There is no possibility of achieving a real resilience without involving the community, because the resilience is can be made by structural measures. The other part relies on the people habits and practices. So the involvement of the local community is essential, and the involvement of majors, which are the political leaders closest to the citizens, is important too.
I'm realizing that it is not even the issue of having the money, the capacity in terms of human resource to deal with it, but whether or not we are consulting with the community who are affected and to find out what exactly is the situation, because they are there and therefore they know what is causing the problem and how we can manage and solve it. And that's something I think I have achieved or derived from this conference.
This is an important start for us, because up till now the past conferences have just been the government, the public sector, and this is the first time where the private sector in some kind of an organized way is being presented.
I think it's been a real eye-opener for me. There is, or has been, evidently a considerable lack of understanding the private sector of the public sector and NGOs and vice versa. I think this conference is an important step in helping to bridge that gap.
reducing vulnerability is a great investment. It's a great investment for their communities and for the sustainability of governments. And so I think this report brings more evidence to the table in a way that's very, very easy to understand, and I think that will help me do my job and many decision makers do their jobs.
The private sector needs to be made aware and have some education on what this initiative is, so then they can start to work on how they can work with the public sector to create a public-private partnership, a PPP, to become effective.
I have learned one thing, that there is a lot we can do as parliamentarians. That one, we can network. If Uganda does it, Kenya should do it. If Kenya does it, Tanzania should do it. And at a regional level, we can hold it together and spread it even further.
For the first time, we broadened the scope very significantly by the discussions around the much stronger integration also of nuclear technological accidents, industrial accidents, and that has led the whole discussion here into the era of addressing critical risks in highly modernized and vulnerable infrastructures and societies.
There is really need to have a framework that will guide all institutions, all country, and even civil society in dealing with pre and post natural disaster is very, very important.
This conference, for as far as African Union is concerned, it is going to provide me with the capacity of information to be able to inform the citizens of Africa on how we can be able to respond better.
The most thing that impressed me, the first thing that impressed me is that such a conference is being held on this platform, to talk about safe schools and education and to empower the children with knowledge so that they can save their lives and the lives of the people in their communities. So this trust in education and in children is hopeful, is wonderful. And this is actually one of the best things that I felt in this session.
People are looking for solutions. People are looking for ways to be able to prevent and prepare for disasters. And the interest that's been shown here is a reflection of the urgency of this issue, that we really need to do something.
Now we are warned that nature will strike, and we have to be prepared. We have no excuse.
Let's make a safer world where all the citizens of the world can live without fear any impact caused by natural disasters. We can make this world safer, more comfortable, and let's leave this world environmentally safe and comfortable to our succeeding generation. That's our moral and political responsibility.